What's up guys, Lennon here with soundandpatternsmusic.com, giving you practical music knowledge for the artist that wants to be heard. If you've been here at all, you know that I absolutely love the idea of helping musicians to find their motivation, to find their voice, to really, be able to come to the place where they believe that they have what it takes to make a living doing music. I mean, I say it all the time. I believe there is no better time to be an independent artist than right now because, with everything as it is, every opportunity we have to put our stuff out there, every opportunity we have to connect with someone is so real, and there's more of those opportunities than ever. And a lot of people argue that we're also more saturated than ever, but that may be true. But let's be real. If you're good at communicating, if you're good at making music, and you're good at just being a little vulnerable, then I think you can go far. I actually got a question the other day. Somebody asked me how I got into music, and so I wanted to kind of make a quick video sort of telling that story. Those of you that don't know, my dad's a musician actually. He was a bass player forever. He's been a bass player since he was a kid. I remember when I was young, I was living with my mom. They had separated when I was 3, so I never really knew them together. And so when they separated, my mom was always dealing with alcoholism. This was the thing that she just constantly battled. The good news is that later down the road, she actually kicked that. And so the last 15 years of her life, we had a really great relationship, and I'm super, super grateful for that. During that time that I was living with my mom, my dad was working all the time, and I feel like it's sort of the same as what I'm dealing with right now, where he was grinding it out all the time to try and support his family, trying to do whatever he could to make it work. And so at one point, my mom was dealing with his alcoholism. She actually was at someone's house. I don't want to get too heavy here, but the reason I actually want to share this is because I just know that some of you are dealing with some really heavy stuff. I know that some of you are dealing with some really big things in your life that then weigh on what you want from your career. And so that's why I share this. So if this makes you uncomfortable or anything, I totally get it. You can feel free to leave the video. So my mom was in a relationship, and this guy's girlfriend came over to this party that we were kind of all at. I was maybe 9 years old at the time, 10 years old. And so this ex-girlfriend, my mom was sitting up on this porch ledge, like a 6-foot porch off the ground. And this woman came up and she just shoved my mom off this porch. And my mom braced herself, And when she did that, she actually snapped and broke both of her arms. I ran over and helped kind of get her up. We had to walk her down the street to the police station, where they then took us in an ambulance and got her to the hospital. And she ended up having these pins that were put in her arms to kind of reset the bones. And this guy that she was with was abusive, and so he would beat her up all the time, even with this deficiency. She wasn't able to fight back, and he lied to me and all this stuff. So I just came to this point where I was like, I gotta leave, I gotta get out of here. So from there, I sort of started bouncing around to different families. I stayed with my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side for a while, and when I got in with them, the first thing they said is do you want to try to play an instrument? So I thought, well, that could be cool. And so during that time, I was also kind of going back and forth between some of my dad's friends and staying with them. I said, well, I think I want to play drums. I remember them saying, well, no, you probably don't want to play drums because you'll only learn the snare drum. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, that kind of sucks. And then now I wish I knew more formal training on drums. Anyway, they were going to see my dad play at this club, and he was in the original house band at B.B. King's Club in Memphis. And so we went there, and I remember sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, watching him play was it for me. I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. And it was weird because it's just this small bar, venue place, nothing really special about it, but just the connection that people had with what was going on and the emotional response that people had. I just absolutely loved it. So I went back and I was like, yeah, I want to play the trumpet then. I'll play that. So I got into that. Fast forward a number of years, and when I got into 8th grade, I was playing trumpet, and I remember that was about the time that I was like, well, I don't really know if this is for me. I don't know if I really want to continue to do this, kind of getting tired of it. It's that whole same thing we deal with as adults, right? Where you get in the dip, where you're just like, this was cool for a while, but I don't know if I want to keep putting the work in. During that time, my mom had forced me. She's the best thing she ever did for me. And I'd again, kind of been bouncing around. So I was living with my mom again for a while. She forced me to go and be in this really small band program. The band director there just loved me, and she was so sweet. Her name was Mrs. Ward. So she put me in the band, and I hate to say it this way, but I was kind of the best one because it was pretty small, and I had a lot of opportunity to kind of work and be worked with. During the 8th grade pep rally, they would have me play Charge, like ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da. And so we were at the rally, my last name being Bone, all of my friends started chanting Boner, Boner, and I was like completely embarrassed and excited at the same time. And I was like, actually, this is awesome. Like, I was kind of the rock star in a parody sense of the word for my 8th grade pep band. I was like, this is amazing. So I went and I continued to do band through high school because my mom, again, kind of forced that hand. But when I got in, I was playing drums in one band. I was playing trumpet in 2 other groups, like sort of independent ensembles, one with a group of adults, and I'm in 9th, 10th grade. Then I was also going and I went and auditioned for a drum and bugle corps. Anybody's heard of DCI or Drum Corps International, so I ended up doing that. From this, I got all this discipline and all these connections through friends and all these relationships that I built, and I was like, this is what it's all about. This is what this is the opportunity to build relationships and do something fun. And I'll never forget those first feelings I had of performing in front of a lot of people, and those first feelings of winning these competitions with the drum corps stuff, and these first feelings of like being in an original band and going and playing in front of people and having them get excited and applaud, and all this hardship that I had dealt with as a kid, and all the stuff that I watched my mom go through, all the stuff that I watched my dad go through. It was like this was the escape. This was the thing that took me out of all that stuff. I just could never shake it. I just never could shake it. And I remember thinking in the best way, like, I want to go one level beyond what my dad did. I want to continue to play. I want to be able to continue to grow, and I want to impact people and work with people. And my dad, you can't go within like a county. If you're in the county my dad lives in and I walk around, people are like, oh my gosh, you're Jerry's son. They just love him. And he's just known in that area for being a great musician. And my dad has done amazing stuff in his own right. And so when I say level up from him, it's more just like, what's my own dreams? Not just like living his dream, but what's my own. And so this is a part of that. Like, making this channel is a big part of that. Continuing to make music and figuring out how to balance like my artistic side with my business side is a big part of that. And continuing to inspire and encourage you all to just make stuff, when it feels like that dip. It feels like that time when, well, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't gonna play out. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you may have a whole gymnasium full of people yelling, well, your name, not my terrible last name. But that's why I'm here, and that's why, just in a short way, how I ended up here and how I got into music, and I just wanted to kind of share that with you all. So I hope you enjoyed that story. I know it's there's some heavy parts, but I want you to know that I wouldn't be who I am without all of these crazy things that have happened in my life, and I feel so grateful that I'm able to talk about them so candidly. And there's a lot of baggage that comes with the things that I've been through in my life. I carry a lot of anxiety, and I'm sure I'm going to talk more about that in other videos, but I still wouldn't change it, because I think if I hadn't had the experiences that I've had, I wouldn't have continued to push as hard as I have. I wouldn't have continued to be sort of this just normal guy like you who loves music, loves making music, and wants to make a living from it, and I've been able to do that, and I don't think I could have done that without my experiences. I hope that this was encouraging to you, and don't forget, there is no better time to be an independent artist than right now. I'll see you guys in the next video.